Well, welcome back to Robot My Life. Well, it is winter. Thankfully, we've got a bit of sun. We will be showing you today the new MoeBot Acre Eater X3 robot lawnmower. And you might be wondering, why do we always wait until winter to test a robot lawnmower? Well, it's more to do with seasonality of the Northern Hemisphere. They will normally test robot lawnmowers before us. And there's a good thing about this, they actually get any problems before us, which means generally speaking, 80 to 90% of any sort of bugs are ironed out before they get to the Southern Hemisphere. Well, what is the X3? Why should you even consider it? And is it right for you? We have had immense success with the MoeBot Acre Eater. And if you're not familiar, we have a mobile team around Australia that can come out and demonstrate the MoeBot Acre Eater at your own property, making sure it's right for you. Now, the thing that has made that model so successful is its technology base. It has real-time kinematic mapping, really long word for satellite guided. And of course, if you're familiar, there are lots of different brands that do have satellite guidance. But the thing about the MoeBot Acre Eater is it also combined VSLAM technology. And this is a big difference. You see, a lot of brands that might have a couple of eyes at the front, you know, like a camera system, but all it really does is it avoids obstacles. It's not actually a visual mapping system. It's not actually mapping out the property. And this is the key difference with the MoeBot Acre Eater series. It builds a 3D conceptual map of your property. And this is a very long-winded way of saying that if you lost satellites, or if it's under a tree or under an area that it has limited visibility to the sky, it can keep operating, it can keep mowing, it won't affect the robot mower's performance. And this has been the issue with many other brands because they either rely purely on satellite or, you know, that maybe they have some limited vision, but not a system that combines the two technologies. So the MoeBot Acre Eater all drive a brilliant product, suitable for properties from 3,000 square meters up to 1.5 acres. Now, of course, you can use it on a smaller property, but it might be too expensive for some customers. So it was back to the drawing board thinking, well, you know, how can you service a bigger client base than just those that have a large property? And we have had hundreds of requests for the same technology base in a product that is suitable for a smaller property. So here we are today, the new MoeBot X3 robotic lawnmower. It can work on properties up to 800 square meters. It uses the same software. So it shares the same software base. The only difference is some of the key specifications that we will talk about today on the robot mower. For example, it doesn't have all-wheel drive. So it's got a few less features, but then from a performance base, I think you're going to love it because it performs in a very similar fashion to our MoeBot Acre Eater series, being the 3000 and Pro unit. Well, that's enough of me talking. Let's get into it. Let's go through an unboxing and let's show you how the MoeBot X3 Acre Eater can work for you at home. Well, I'm really battling some inclement weather conditions today, so hopefully it doesn't rain too much. But lucky this is an IPX5 rated robot lawnmower, so it won't affect it. It will probably affect me more. Well, here it is, the new X3. A little bit different, quite sizable, only weighs about 9 kilos. Now you can see if I raise it up here, the two lenses here, the dual lenses, that is the VSLAM technology. This is what we discussed before. That there is what is allowing it to see as it moves along. Then here we have really like an analog panel. So this is what you expect to see when it's actually charging. You can see here the battery light indicator is moving. You can see it's connected to Bluetooth and it's also connected to Wi-Fi. So that's good to go, and we nearly have a full battery. Really like this design. It's the same as the Acre Eater. You see a lot of brands that are made for Europe and they'll have an LCD panel. If you think about our weather conditions, and often those LCD panels are fully exposed to the sun, they'll deteriorate quite quickly, which means they end up being replaced sooner than they should be, especially compared to Europe. Here what you'll see is that you'll have numbers that will light up, you put your PIN code in, and really everything is designed to go through the app, which I think is a much better solution for longevity. The key difference is your cutting height adjustment here is manual. Why have they done that? Well, that's really to save cost. It's really unnecessary in many circumstances on a smaller property to have that sort of variations in cutting height. So on here, you can do it manually by just turning it like so. And that will give you a variation from 2 centimeters to 6 centimeters with cutting height. Stop button as per normal, as needed on all different robot lawnmowers. And then here, again, another feature I love is these steel bits here that connect underneath for your charging dock. A little bit of a hint though, and something we've learned through experience, is that during different weather, depending where you mount your dock, sometimes your plastic pegs that peg it down can raise up a bit with heat, rain, whatever it might be. And what you can find is sometimes it'll raise up a little bit and it's not connecting, and you think your robot lawnmower is not charging. It's just a matter of checking those, pushing them down, and it's good to go, or perhaps securing them with a different method. All right, so let's flip it over now. And let's have a look underneath. Again, if you're familiar with the other ones, you'll get a bit of an idea of the difference immediately. I really like this simple design. It's quite serviceable, and we know this from 6 years of experience with robot lawnmowers. Things can go wrong. And I'll explain some of the things that can go wrong with brands that we've sold, other people's brands, etc. Well, I love the fact we have the drive here, okay, at the front. No difference to the MoeBot Acre Eater. It's got the main body weight pulling forward. Some far better design, less inclined to get stuck, less inclined to dig holes. Many brands have issues still with digging holes regardless of the RTK technology. This is something you really find that the Acre Eater series has really made sure that it won't do that, and that's obviously through a collaboration with Sunseek. They've done an extraordinary job around how they've programmed their robotic lawnmowers. Now, you'll see here we've got 4 wheels rather than 3, and these are not obviously mechanical wheels, and this is where I guess you got a cost saving, right? Because you don't have a motor controlling these wheels. But what I do like is this. If I ever have an issue, and I'll show you here, if I can just push in like so, I can pop out this. So if I have an issue, I can just replace this very easily. And that's a cool feature. You know, many other brands have been problematic around that because sometimes these things over time can wear out, need replacement, and can be really difficult to actually deal with. And as you can see here, they'll still move up and down for undulating land, which is good. You also have a floating cutting deck system. Again, no different to the larger Acre Eater series. The big advantage there is that if you're going across different height grounds, uneven ground, it's going to move. It's not static in one spot. And then here I've got the space for a 4G tracking module. And at the very front here, I have a case that I can replace the battery. And you know, if you're not familiar, there's some brands out there, Motion Luba is one of them, where many of their units, you can't replace the battery. It has to go back to a dealer. So you got to bear that in mind, because if you're not near a dealer, then it's going to be costly to change the battery, because you have the return cost, the labor cost, all those things just to replace the battery. And that's what I mean. They've made it so it's quite serviceable. You know, you can easily replace these wheels. I can easily replace here. I can take off the blades. I can remove my cutting plate. I can remove these easily, and the battery. It's well thought out. It's not, you know, carbon copy the last model. Let's think about it a little bit differently, and how is it going to help the actual customer. So they've done a brilliant job with their manufacturing this unit. I really like how they've thought it out quite well. Then if we think about transport and carrying it around, you've got a handle here to make it nice and easy. So that there is the robot itself. You have a bump stop at the front, which is quite common. And then here we've got our charging dock. Pretty similar again to the Acre Eater unit. The design's pretty similar. You've got your QR code here that you can see, you can drive back into. You've got your power supply that connects on. So nothing really has changed too much there. I'll show you shortly. These here were just pegged down and secure. Now, the thing I will say about this, when you get the box, there's a lot of stuff inside the box. When I normally do an unboxing, I'll bring the box up. There's so much stuff I had to open up. So I thought I'd just open it all up and bring it out for you. Now, I'll have to assemble this, but this is obviously the poles that are for my RTK receiver here. And that is my base, my RTK receiver. And this is a little bit different to the other models. You'll see here that they've got obviously, you know, your 2.4 gigahertz receiver on the side here, whereas the other ones were more of a sort of closed unit because you had a very dominant receiver on the unit. This one here is really working primarily on this one, transmitting back to the dock and to the robot because it doesn't have to have the range of the Acre Eater. But nice design. It still has the light system here, which again is really easy to read. There's also even like a nice little diagram here in case you're wondering what the lights mean. So we'll connect that up shortly and show you how to do that. And then obviously there's a power supply that comes with it. That is for your RTK receiver. You have your pegs and everything else that you need to secure the RTK antenna or the dock. It also came with some bolts that you could connect this to a sidewall as well. And we'll talk about it shortly when we actually set this up. So, good little unit, good size unit. The grass isn't too long here today, but let's see if we can cut it down and let's see how well it cuts, see what its movement's like. And let's even test today to see how well it might recognize an object that is in front of it. So let's get into it. Let's show you how the new MoeBot X3 works. Time to set it up. So these here just screw together and that's for your RTK antenna. Like anything, just make sure you don't cross thread them. Nice and easy, like so. And it's done there. I'm not sure if you're aware, some brands actually charge you extra for the RTK system. So you think, you know, okay, it's expensive for the robot. Next minute they're charging you also for the RTK antenna as well. So be aware of that if you are hunting around, that sometimes things aren't as they seem with some different manufacturers out there. All right. And again, this particular unit, they spend a lot of time, for whatever reason, doing a lot of packaging. The cool thing is you have a really super long cable here, so that's always great. Better to be longer than shorter. Now, as I did briefly mention before, you can actually mount these. You can either mount this on the roof, or you can either mount it on the ground. Obviously for today, we're going to be just mounting on the ground. It's not necessary to mount it on the roof, but just bear that in mind. We're lucky that it's been a bit of rain in Melbourne for once of late, so I'll be just pushing this straight in the ground. And I am sorry about the background noise. There is we're in an industrial area, so it's a little bit noisy here today. And we will do another video as well in some other areas. Really today was about getting this out and just quickly showing you guys this great new model that's come out. And this doesn't have to be super solid in the ground because, like I said, this is only for demonstration. These here you can obviously hammer right in. With your RTK antennas, irrelevant of brand, the higher the better. You know, if you go to a front yard, backyard, you might mount it on the roof. Because just think of it in a very logical perspective, this has to see the sky. It's got to connect to satellites. If it's hidden under the eaves, it's not going to work very well. And it's a mistake people often make is they don't mount these that well. So mount it in a high spot to start with. You can certainly test it on the ground because you can always move that later on. but ultimately, the higher, the better. All right. Now, we've already pre-charged the robot, so that's a bit of an advantage today, so we don't have to worry about that too much. Ideally, same rules apply always with really any robot mower, irrelevant of brand, is making sure that these are as level as possible. Now these here, if you've got a mallet or whatever else, you would hammer them in. It's solid there. Like I said, it's a demonstration today, so I'm not going to put them all in, but I still want it secure so it doesn't move. There we go, it's nice at the back. All right, so that's connected. Now, we have a power supply here. Now on this particular unit here, I've got the power supply connected here. I will plug that in around the corner in a minute. Then I've got my other power supply over here that will connect into my RTK antenna. I'll connect in the power, the lights will come on. I'll put the robot in a minute to show you, and then we'll be good to start the mapping. And I'll screen record that as well, so you can see what it'll ask you and how easy it is to map the area. And then we'll start cutting, and let's see how well it really cuts. Just a note when you're doing this, something I noticed a minute ago. We had a team member set this up, but they've connected the wrong actual power supply to the dock. It's a common mistake. Read the manual is helpful. Look at the diagrams. Well, here's a really easy way of knowing. Big one goes to the dock. Small one goes to the RTK. If you remember that, you never make a mistake. So now, look, it's connected the right way around. We'll go through now, plug in the power, get the lights going, and let's start mapping. All right, we've got this now connected to power, being your charging dock and your RTK. You'll see there's some lights up the top there, letting you know that it is connected to power. It's connected to satellite, not connected to Wi-Fi yet or the robot. Then here there's a green light. So the green light's solid, it means it's good to go. So what we're going to do now is place our robot on there for charging. There it beeps. And I'm just looking at the lights here to see what's coming up. It should normally ask me for a pin code, so that will come up in a minute. But now we should be good to start mapping. So what I'm going to do now, we've got this charge, we'll put the pin code in, we'll connect it all to, you hear that beep? I know it's now connected, so I have to put underneath. Yep, put the pin code in, and she's good. All right, so now I will connect it to the app. We'll start mapping, and let's show you how it works. So in a moment, I'm going to demonstrate how to map and also how the robot lawnmower will work. And I want you to really take note of its learning phase. Because the robot also has artificial intelligence, you got to remember that when I map the boundary, all it knows is it's been told where the outskirts are. It has no idea what is on the inside. So you'll notice there's an apprehension on the first cut. Then when we do a second and third cut, you'll notice a behavioral change. And this is the same with the sixth, because it's always learning. There's the big difference. It's actually learning your environment and is learning to be the most efficient it can be to mow your section of lawn. And yes, you can set up multiple areas as well, as we'll demonstrate for you today with the new MoeBot Acre Eater X3. So let's get into it. Let's show you how easy it is to map and how well it can cut for you at home. So here the robot does a self-diagnostic check to make sure it's operational. Then from here, we start moving into our mapping. Now I choose remote mapping and I want to create a working zone. It will tell me how to do it, but obviously I know how to do that. So I click play and allow the robot to leave the station. From here, I'm going to first set the boundary, and I'll ask you, are you actually at the boundary line? For this example, I'm just going to set the boundary from where the robot has come out and exited the dock. As you can see at the bottom, my finger there is moving the robot. You can see it in the video images as well. I'm just driving it around like a remote control car. You can walk behind it, you can be on the side of it. It doesn't really matter. It's simple and easy. So you can see here, I'm just creating a simple boundary, and this would be the same as you would do around your property, just ensuring you leave the right gap from anything like a retaining wall, etc. So here we go. I'm going right round and completing my loop. Even if I don't complete a loop, that little dotted line would create one for me. But obviously that's not exactly where I want it, so I'll go right round. And when I complete it, you'll notice that that whole area will turn green, which is my working zone that you'll always see on the app. Yep, finished. Cool thing is, it will also, if I want, create a pathway to a dock, which most other robots don't do. So quite intelligent, makes it a lot easier for the purposes of mapping. So just like I showed you before, this is the aerial footage of setting a working zone. It's been sped up by 4. You really just walk behind the mower, driving it like a remote control car. And I always find walking behind it is a lot easier, especially when you're mapping out garden beds, etc. Now here, I'm just checking the cutting height, and I'm about to make it start via the app, which is really just touching the working zone and pressing play. I'd really want you to take note of its behavior. It's apprehensive when it moves. You may not be able to tell as much because it is sped up. And obviously there I'm filming as well to give you some good close-ups that I'll show you shortly. So it'll work through. You can obviously change direction if you wish. And you can already see the grass that's being cut there. And if you're wondering, that's at a cutting height at 2.5 centimeters. What you should see is that when we play it again, it should be more determined and smooth when it's mowing. If I was to film it again and again and again, you'd only see its behavior improve, because then it would have learnt the area and have an understanding of what's inside that working zone. Remember, it is using visual mapping. So it is mapping out whatever's there. So if there was a tree, whatever else, it's going to map it out and know in history that I've got an object there, I know the depth. And that's the real key difference between the Acre Eater series and other brands. So now it's doing an edge mow, which is driving over the top of your boundary and cutting. You can dictate if you do it every time, occasionally, whatever else, but at least you know it will do an edge mow, and then it's going back to the dock now that it's finished, it's cut. Wow, look at behind me. Its cutting is amazing. Its movement, in fact, my whole experience in setting it up and making it work is very similar to the Acre Eater Pro series. And I think when you look at the aerial footage, you'll agree it's an amazing cut, because the good thing about doing a smaller area, it allows you to see the variation. And I've done some close-up filming as well, so you can see it spitting out the grass. This is an amazing machine, amazing bang for buck, because it has the technology base of something that's more expensive, but designed for a smaller property, so more economical. Well, in a moment, I'm also going to film it, doing a second and third run, so you can see the behavioral change that I was talking about earlier. So it's done its first run. Let's send it out again. Really exceptional result. You can see behind me, even via a lean down here, and I pick up some of the cut grass. Now, remember, if you're not familiar with robot lawnmowers, you layer it and you're cutting millimeters each day, not centimeters. So at the moment I'm cutting centimeters, so of course there'll be residue. If I'm doing it every 1 to 2 days, I'm cutting millimeters. It's a micro mulch, nothing to see. It'll actually fertilize your lawn. But let's send it out again and let's see how it behaves the second time. So now I've made it go out for a second time. And what I'd like you to observe is it's a lot more determined and focused. You can tell it has been here before. And this is what I've been saying, is that the technology in this, it has got AI, it is learning the environment. The VSLAM is building a virtual map of the area. So because it has already gone through this section, it's already mapped it. It's already familiar, and this is why you can see that it's a lot faster than it was before. Now what we're going to do, I've got this cardboard roll here. We're going to have it go out, and I'm going to throw it in front of the robot, and let's see if it picks up the objects, move around it. What is its behavior? We'll film it from an aerial shot, and let's see how successful it really is. Well, it's getting cold out here. I reckon it's probably 8 degrees. But you would have seen there, I did a few different tests, something I haven't done before. I thought, well, people are always concerned about safety. Let's test it. So we threw an object in front of it, as you saw, and it recognized it. But then I jumped in front of it multiple times, stopped, recognized me, and moved around me. And what I also did, I picked it up and flipped it upside down, and you can see everything was shut off. And this is some of the inbuilt safety features are really important, because if you've got pets or children or whatever it might be, you want to make sure they're safe. You want to make sure this thing can recognize them, navigate around them. If a child was out there and grabbed it, it shuts itself off, because these are the safety features that are present in the MoeBot Acre Eater. So I'm really impressed with this unit. A 20 centimeter cutting deck, for property that doesn't have great slopes or gradients. Remember, the maximum incline this can operate on is 17 degrees. Okay, so we're not talking about 35-degree angles, something a lot less steep, but this is the majority of Australian homes. This will be a townhouse. This will be a small unit. It will be a smaller property, 100% suitable. Really blown away. It works so well. It is so similar to the Acre Eater Pro. It is amazing. And this thing I really like about this is the innovation. It's really gone from a great product to the next product and sharing the same software base. So here I'm testing out its obstacle avoidance capabilities. We've used a cardboard roll. Then I started jumping in front of it and really surprised how quick it reacted to me. It will certainly keep your pets and children safe, and if you pick it up, it will shut off automatically. But do bear in mind that children and pets should always not be around the mower, just in case. Well, look, the sun is starting to set here. Hopefully I've got enough time to give it a bit more charge. I'd like to film for you how to set up another zone and how to send it to another zone, because you can have up to sort of 6 different working zones. So again, very similar to the Acre Eater Pro. It just doesn't have as many zones, and obviously can't cover as a large area as our larger unit does. So now I'm going to set up another working zone. Pretty easy, same format. Here I'm allowing the robot to do a self-check, which will always happen when I'm creating a new working area. The process is pretty similar. I can actually just drive it to wherever I want it to go and start mapping from that point. And like before, you'll start at the boundary. And remember, you always set a boundary in an anti-clockwise direction. So here you'll see it's leaving the station. The mapping is exceptional. The app is really easy to use. And what I really like is it's got that real-time ability of showing you where the robot is at any stage. And you can see here I'm driving well out of the working zone, and I'm now about to set that new boundary. And the other thing that I'll be doing is showing you how to create a corridor. A corridor is a transition area from one zone to another. So first, here's the working zone. I move in an anti-clockwise direction. The cool thing, as we noted before, is you'll see that on the map. And then when we complete that working zone, it will turn green. And then the good thing is you don't need to return it to the dock. Other brands really are labor intensive because you need to return it back to the dock before you can map another area. What will happen is I finish and complete my working zone, and from here I can create my corridor. I don't need to go back to the dock. So really easy. I'm basically just driving it from one spot to the other, which will be my transition zone. So this is how it's going to drive from my main working area to my secondary working area. And this process will be the same whether you're setting up 1 or 6 different working zones on your property. So now we're sharing an aerial view. Unfortunately, a little bit goes off screen, but you get the concept. No difference to the mapping. I'm just creating that working zone. I've sped it up to 4 to make it a little bit faster. And as you've seen on the map, it'll create that map I've just created there for the working zone. And now I'll just drive it across to create the corridor. So regardless of it being another zone, I touch the zone I want it to mow, press play, and away it goes. It's now mowing that new zone that we've created. No hiccups, really smooth, very simple to set up. Be aware that many other brands on the market are not as easy to use. In fact, some of them can be quite confusing because they're made by an engineer, not necessarily designed for the end consumer to have great ease of use. So behind me, you can see the original area, and then you can see at the moment, it's cutting this space here, which is that new zone that I just made. Mapping literally takes minutes. And of course, it's determined by how big your property is, but you've seen the app isn't glitchy, it's easy to use, there's constant updates. And the reason you should consider one of the MoeBot Acre Eater series is we've been in this now for 6 years. We've partnered with Sunseeker because they've got more than 180 R&D staff that work on this product line. It's why it's so good. It's why updates are so good. It's why there's actual real thought that goes into the product. Some other brands that I won't mention out in the market are kind of like a generic copy, each model that comes out with the pieces bolted on. This is actually a well thought out product for the consumer that has a smaller property. The Acre Eater Pro series, well thought out for someone that has a larger property. If you look at the models, they're different. Every model that comes out is different. They've got the unique features. They share some things that reduce cost, but they're not skimping on things that affects the customer. It's not like, oh my God, I can't change the battery. Now what do I do? Those sort of things, nothing like that. This is a serviceable machine and a real machine that is going to maintain your lawn. It might be less expensive than our premium model, but it's still a high-end, high-quality product, which we know the market demands. So we'll make more videos in the coming weeks and months to show you how effective this is, but I think you will love this product and it'll be one that will maintain your property 24/7.